Hello dear friends, welcome to a live stream here in our Facebook group, How to Manifest Our Dreams. This page, this group specifically, it is dedicated in the process of manifestation, and basically we try to understand what are the laws and the conditions that we need to be able to master if we want to manifest our dreams in this world, in this life. Okay, and today's topic is how to drop your ego. And I'm going to talk about some aspects of the ego, what is the ego, and how this stops us to manifest what we want, because it does. Okay, so in this live stream I'm going to talk to you about two aspects of the ego. Let's say the ego has two legs, we could say like this. Okay, and we need to understand these two legs separately, because to drop the ego fully we cannot do it except if we have a moment of self-realization so deep and so total that it covers our whole mind. Because the ego basically it is the totality of the mind, and when I'm talking about the mind, I'm not talking about the mind / logic, the ability to have logical thoughts, but the identification with the inner dialogue and what the mind is telling us. So basically, what is the ego? The ego is an attempt from your mind to create an idea about yourself and to start realizing who you are through some ideas, concepts and conclusions that you make about yourself. Okay, so this is happening anyway. This is how we are educated from the beginning of our life, and when we start our personal development, this has already happened to us. We have already a sense of self. In the previous live stream we talked about the different aspects also that we need to let go. One was the false personality. So the false personality is this ego, and we all have this. So we start with this. We start with already having the false personality, the idea that I'm somebody. And this is the ego, the root of the ego is this. Now to drop this totally, it means to remain with no sense of self at all. Like a sense that this self that you knew does not even exist at all. It's not an idea. If it is an idea, it's another just thought in your mind, but psychologically and even from your body, to disconnect totally from this idea that you are someone completely. This is very hard. This will happen to you when you will be illuminated, like Christ and Buddha. You will arrive there, you can. But how we arrive in this totality? So there is a kind of law that exists also in business, which says like this: you will be the owner of the company if you will have the 51% of the of the company, right? Of the shares, how it's called, the shares. So this is the law usually in the business. If you want to be the complete owner, you need to have more than half of the company. The same happens with your ego. You will lose all the ego when you will be able to lose consciously the 51% of it. So the bigger part of you will be beyond the ego, and then the rest will collapse. It loses its grip on you. Okay. But how to arrive to this 51% of the company is the thing. So to do this, there is a system, a methodology that I learned from my teachers, and I will transmit this to you, and this will help you to drop your ego. So you have two parts. Your ego is made of two parts. One part is negative and one part is positive. Or to say it better, one part is the weak ego and the other part is the strong ego. So we have two egos. One is weak and another is strong. The weak ego is all the ideas about yourself, all the thoughts, all the concepts and self-sensations that are weak and negative. Like, I'm not good enough, I cannot do this, I'm not ready, I'm ashamed, I feel bad, I'm nobody, like the imposter syndrome, feeling like a victim, all this nice stuff. Okay, and this part of the ego, this aspect of the ego, the weak ego, it appears in a certain part of our life. It is when we need to act. When we need to act, this becomes the obstacle. And Gurdjieff, a teacher of the past, was calling this the first interval. The first effort you have to make is to overcome this aspect of your ego who says to you that something that you really want to do, you should not even attempt it because you will fail because of this and that, because you are weak. For example, now some kids pass next to me with bicycles. When I was learning to ride the bicycle, I was very afraid to fall down. And this part of the ego will tell you, oh, it is dangerous, don't ride the bicycle because you will fall down and you will open your knee. And until I actually managed to ride the bicycle, I was very, very scared to do it. These thoughts were in my mind, and what if I fall and hit? This could happen, and anyway it happened, but this is part of the process, right? But when you have this thought, this will stop you. By the way, now that we're talking about the ego, don't be ashamed to click the like button and give us some love and support our channel here on Facebook, because when you like our videos and what we post, you help us to give you more knowledge. And also our Instagram account. Yes, we have also Instagram there, please. You can also follow us, because we want to develop also this channel when you are there to receive also there some knowledge, amazing things that we do to help you take over your life. We will post our Instagram account under this video in the comments after. If you watch also this video on a replay, you can write from where you watch it and also say hi. So, hello, Joanna. We have this part of the ego. How to overcome it? How to drop this part of the ego? With effort. This part of the ego, you overcome it by effort, and basically by creating and doing the exact opposite of what your ego is saying. So if your ego is saying, I cannot do this, I am weak, you have to grow inside of you the exact opposite. I am strong, I can do that. I am strong, I can do that, I will do that. And constantly develop this intention, this part inside of you. Okay. Here are a lot of spiritual and personal development practices that empower you, strengthen you. Many practices that we do also, they are creating this kind of antidote for this weak part of the ego. And the purpose is to neutralize the negative weak ego, so that all these aspects that say I cannot do it, I'm weak, I'm scared, I'm ashamed, and so on. For example, one reason why I'm making many videos outside, also because it's good weather in this summer, and I choose to do this in parks, in public places, is because this is a very good practice to be exposed and talk when other people hear you, what you are talking, and this attracts the attention. For example, this is very good practice to feel this, because like the fear of going on a stage and speak, yes, public speaking and so on, is a very common fear that people have. Why? Because in this moment your weak ego is exposed. All your weak thoughts will appear because you become the center of attention, and this provokes your weak parts to react and be scared. So the weak parts go out, and you can observe them, and you can work against them. How did I work against them? When I first time took the camera and I was doing videos for YouTube or live streams outside in the street, I was very contracted and I was very self-aware who is watching me and what will I say. Sometimes it comes back. There are too many people and people start talking to me and so on, and they take my attention. It happens a little bit, but this is the good practice, yes? To expose yourself is not dangerous, but to expose yourself in the situation that provokes this weak ego to come willingly, because in this moment you are ready to work with it. And of course there are techniques to empower yourself, like esoteric martial arts that we practice in our school, shamanic rituals, meditations, spiritual theater, and many other things. And the goals that you will put in your life should be always this kind of goals that hit the root of this weak ego. Okay, so with your efforts, this is the way to drop this part of the ego. And then, if you will understand, this will develop a strong sense of self. It will develop inside of you the exact opposite. What is the exact opposite of I cannot? It's hard, I'm not good enough. The opposite. I can, I'm good enough, I'm strong, I'm powerful, and all this. This, of course, leads to another sense of self. The sense I am strong is another strong sense of self, but it is also made by these belief systems in your head and by your actions, backed up, of course. And this is the other part of the ego, the strong ego. Okay, the strong ego also has to be transcended, because there is another aspect of us, which is the true self, which is beyond any concept, any belief system, and it is beyond any sense of yourself and any self-image. It is just pure being. This is very difficult to be understood intellectually. It's impossible. There are words that describe this, but they are just words. Only we can project with our mind our own ideas and so on, but in reality you can understand this only when you are there. But to go there, first you have to do this first step with the weak ego, and then you remain with the strong ego. The strong ego will help you to manifest a lot of things, to be strong, confident, to speak to people, to achieve things. Of course, life is teaching us that everything in the end has to be let go, because whatever you will achieve in this world, even if you are the most rich person in the planet, you are going to leave this planet sooner or later. Yes? And everything that you did will be just vanished for you. It will be the end of the world for you. So you have to be able to let go also of the strong ego, of any sense of ego that you have. But you cannot do this when you have weak ego, because if you have also the weak ego and you are trying to let go of the strong ego, you will remain with the weak ego, and it is very hard to let it go after. Yes? So first you need to cultivate, to get rid of the weak ego, remain with the strong, achieve many things, and then when you become aware enough and confident enough, because it's a matter of confidence, you will be able gradually to let go of this strong ego and remain egoless. You will remain without ego, but you will have enough power and strength inside of you to live the life that you want without having to have a sense of self helping you all the time, convincing you that you can do it. You will be just doing what you want, and that's it. In order to drop this part of the strong ego, you need to learn the other art of letting go. It is another type of effort. It's not the typical effort that we talked about before this, yes, in the beginning of this live stream. It is an effort which is effortless. It's actually how to open your heart and to learn to let go and accept things. This is more difficult than to make efforts, because when you make efforts to achieve something, although it can be also difficult, when you make efforts, your strong ego backs you up. You say, but I am achieving this. Yes, I will do 1,000 push-ups, but then I will be the winner of the competition or something like this. So you have something to contribute in your efforts, right? When you have remained only with the strong ego, you have to just let it go and accept life fully as it is, and remain only with the confidence directly in your being. And then you have to drop all the positive ideas about yourself, because the strong ego is connected with these ideas. And this is why it is more difficult to open your heart, because you remain without a backup part in your head to say that although you may suffer now that you are letting go of this and it is hard, at least you are great, you are amazing, you will achieve something. Yes? And if you have in the back this idea that I will remain without an ego, this will be great, I will be even greater, then you will not do this, because this is another strong ego, right? To remain without the ego means to remain with no mind, with no thoughts, to remain like everything in nature. Yes? The difference between the humans and the trees and the animals is that the human has the mind, but many times we see that the trees and the animals are more peaceful. It's because they don't have ego, because inside our mind we have developed the ego. The animals and the trees, they don't have any ego, but they don't have also a conscious mind. So they are not aware that they are peaceful and without ego. We humans develop the ego and the mind, and now we have to arrive to be consciously like the plants and the animals, meaning remain without the ego, but having a conscious mind, being aware of everything around us. So that then we will be like the trees and the animals, but with awareness. This will be the difference. So we will be like everything else in nature. We will be natural. And we will be fully aware of ourselves, without needing a sense of self, an idea, a title, a name, a concept, somebody to pat us on the back. It's not that we will feel, maybe some of you hear this now and you will feel, oh my God, I will be weak. Yes, this is when you have a weak ego, you will think like this, that if I will remain without any strong ego, this is bad. This is the weak ego thinking like this, okay? So you need to remember that this work, if you really want to work with your ego, don't try immediately to become artificially humble or something like this, or to you maybe believing that you will cut this immediately, at once. This is not happening like this. You cannot really drop your ego at once, okay? The right process, except if it is illumination moment for you, it has happened in the world. The right process is first to drop the weak parts of the ego, and then the strong ego. And this will not happen like first all the weak ego and then all the strong ego. This usually it happens like in the way we walk. So you make one step with the left leg, and then you make one step with the right leg. If you need to make 1,000 steps, you will make 500 with each leg, but you will not do first the 500 with the left and then all the 500 with the right. You have to walk like this, one and the other. So you will be cutting one part of the weak ego, you will be developing the strong ego, and then you will have this moment that something will come and break this strong ego as well. Maybe this is already your experience, I don't know, maybe this has happened to you, maybe you see that this is happening in your life. If it is, if you have observed this is very good, because this is how life works, but it will be very good for you to do it consciously, like to be aware of this process. In the first part, to drop the weak ego, you have to make efforts. It's really in your hands, and you have the support of your own also strong ego. The other part, you need to ask for it. It will not be given to you easily, because it's the most painful and the most difficult, and actually you need the help of the spirit. You need some force, the situations, to come somehow and present you a difficult opportunity where you have to accept something. Maybe you lose something. Usually these cases is when we lose something, when we fail, we need to accept that we may fail, that we are not all powerful and so on. First we need to learn how to win, and then we need to learn how to lose. And this is generally the method, this is the spiritual truth behind the ego. Beyond that, you need to understand what the ego is, and in order to understand it properly, you need to understand any idea or thought about yourself, any. It is the ego. I'm happy to sharing this kind of knowledge. If you have any question about what I'm talking to you, you can write your question in the section under the video where are the comments. I will answer if I see a question. If you want to study deeply the ego with practices and understand it practically, I invite you to our upcoming events. Especially now we have an event in Romania, in 𝗬𝗏 mountains, and another event in Egypt. In both these retreats, we are going to study methods to do the first part, to drop the weak ego. In the first retreat in 𝗬𝗏, I will show you methods from the modern psychology and shamanism. And in Egypt, we'll teach you methods from the path of the ancient Egyptians and also of shamanism. This is the path of magic, astrology, and ancient rituals. I will explain you how this works in a modern terminology so that you can understand how to use it as a modern person and not have to go into mysticism or something like that to understand how to work with yourself. So if you really want to receive some really deep and cool secrets about your existence and how to work with yourself, that will demystify all this that you try to achieve and will give you tools and power to achieve the things, I invite you to be part of our school, our academies, and our retreats. Also, I will put the links about the retreats a bit later when I will be back under this video. That's it. I will see you in the next week, the next live stream, and until then, stay strong, hungry for motivation and knowledge, and move forward and never put yourself down. Remember, first we work with the weak part of the ego. From this beautiful park here in Bucharest, I say goodbye, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.